Hi folks, Jacob here. Hope you are having a good one today. Like most of us, I watch a lot of YouTube hobby videos to learn new tips and tricks and to get inspiration for future projects. Duncan Rhodes, Boyle, Eons of Battle, Dana Howe, Goobertown Hobbies. I watch a lot of content. That was when I caught on to Heresy for Heretics doing Gundam models during his GW boycott. He talked about how it was an interesting challenge using skills for painting minis to paint Gundams and even advised that people give it a try. So I bought an SD Gunpla kit to give it a try. I ended up getting a Tri-Burning Gundam because the scheme looked simple and the kit was affordable compared to most mini kits that I bought. Now, I don't know much about Gundam, I just know it's a mecha anime series that goes into the effects of war has on society, but I haven't really watched any of it. Maybe I should change that soon considering how much I enjoy my mechs and mass media. Zone of the Enders, Armor Core, Battletech. If I get to pilot a mech, I'm all for it. So I started where everyone starts with the kits and then unboxed it. I was surprised that the sprues were clearly laid out, colored, and was push fit. All I needed was a good pair of snippers to get the pieces off. The kit was simple to build. It was 4 panels of instructions and it even came with stickers for decals. However, I had no plans to use the stickers as I intended to paint the Gundam after I put it together. It was during the build that I came across a video from 52 Miniatures talking about mixing paints and color theory. When I got into painting, I bought a large collection of paints, so I didn't really experiment with mixing paints or using the starter set. Since I was trying things out, I decided I would give mixing paints a try. It gave me a chance to learn some color theory, even though I would probably fall back on using the pre-mixed shades for future projects. New medium, new painting strategy, just chock full of experimentation, which I really enjoyed for this project. I grabbed paints from the collection that would be in an intro kit from Army Painter and challenged myself to only use these paints. The intro kit had a brush on primer, which I didn't have, so I was okay with breaking the rule to prime the Gundam. But outside of the priming, only starter paints. The plan was simple to use the same color scheme as the Gundam if I had used the stickers. A lot of the armor was white, so I needed to make 2 shades of white to work with. Some of the trim was red, so again, 2 shades of red to work with. And there were minor details done with blue and yellow. Luckily, a starter kit came with metallic silver to work with, so I was able to use that for painting some of the joints and hands. Otherwise, I aimed for a box art look-alike with my own painting style. I did break my starter paint only rule when it came to basing the Gundam, but I felt it was okay since the base was not part of the Gundam originally, and I wanted a Mars-like look for the Gundam to stand on. So with a plan in mind, it was time to get to painting. All paints used will be listed in the description below. For starters, I primed the Gundam matte black so that the paint would stick better to the plastic and help give me a canvas to paint on. I did this during an airbrushing session that I did a lot of priming for other projects on my board. You can prime using a brush on primer or a rattle can, but I prefer airbrush because I can do it regardless of how the weather is like, especially considering how the weather lately in my area is getting colder and snow is falling. After the matte black dried, I came in with a gray primer and did a light dusting of gray in a zenithal to help show where the light was hitting the model and to lighten up the Gundam since I would be working with white on a lot of the Gundam. Hi folks, Jacob here with a quick break. Hope you have been enjoying the video. Just wanted to give a reminder to subscribe to the channel if you like the content you are seeing and want to see more. Hitting the like button and dropping a comment also helps out with getting more content out. You can also find me on Blue Sky, Twitch, and Instagram as the Green Danger Noodle, and I do gaming content as well on YouTube as the Green Danger Noodle Gaming. Links for all the sites are in the description. Now let's get back to the video. Next we have the darkened white base layer. I mixed 5 parts matte white with 1 part matte black to get the right shade of white to work with. I wanted dark layers for the base so that the brighter layers would pop more when I got to those steps. It took a while to mix the right ratio, and it made me realize I needed more shades of white than I have now, as I only have matte white and brain matter beige to work with in the off-white category. Next was the red details. Again, going with a darker base layer, I did some research and found out how to darken the red. I learned that mixing black and red wasn't the right way to go, and instead mixing red and brown would help get the darker shade I was looking for. When I mixed 1 part pure red with 1 part leather brown, it looked like I made basilisk red. I applied this to the shoulder pads, edges of the feet, and the upper part of the chest armor. Next was a darker yellow. Again, I went looking for the answer to this and found the answer to be that yellow and brown would give me a dark mustard-like yellow to work with. Again, I was amazed that brown would come in clutch when I thought you would use white to brighten and black to darken. With this knowledge in hand, I mixed 1 part Daemonic Yellow and 1 part leather brown. This darkened yellow ended up accenting a few spots on the chest and the big helmet ornament. Next was the dark blue, and for once the answer was black mixed with blue. I ended up mixing 3 parts Ultramarine Blue and 1 part matte black to get the darkened blue I was after, and applied it to the small details that would want a brighter blue later on. The decals gave it a charged thunder look, but I had my doubts I could pull that off with the base kit I was working with. Now, with the darkened layers done, it was time to move on to the bright layers that I would use to highlight and make the Gundam pop. For stars, I used Daemonic Yellow and applied it to the top edges of the helmet ornament and some of the minor decals that would catch the light. Pure red came in next, and after a couple of layers, I was able to line up the edges of the shoulders, feet, and chest that would catch light. If I wasn't trying to mimic the box art, I might have done some edge highlights to add a sharp edge to the Gundam. Not everything needs to be edge highlighted, but sometimes a few highlights go a long way. Next was Ultramarine Blue, and I'll be honest, I should have looked into brightening the shade a little more. It didn't come out as bright as the stickers or as bright as I would like, but it still helps add details that complement the Gundam. As I was starting to realize, this piece was using mainly primary colors to work with. I wonder if this was on purpose to make it easier for animators to draw the mix, as simple meant less time trying to make and match complex colors. Plate mail metal was used on some of the joints and hands. I liked the silver as it gave a metallic look to those parts and helped make this feel more like a machine than a suit of armor. I guess that's why it's called mobile suits. Matte white was the last bright paint I used, and I'll be honest, I am not a fan of this color. Matte white just doesn't look right as a white to me. Something about using the exact color doesn't read as that color when it comes to white and black. If you want something to read as white, you use off-whites instead. Same with black. You generally use a dark gray to read as black, or you use a lot of grays as highlights on the black to make it read as black. Still, this layer helped me tidy up any spillovers I had, and at least tie the look together. I plan to do another Gundam at some point, but white would not be the main color I would use. Heck, my towel ain't white either. By the time I finished painting the Gundam, I knew I wanted the piece to be on a base, and I wanted a Mars-like look, as if this Gundam was on the battlefield. But to start with that, I needed to glue the Gundam to an old oval base I had from my early days. It was covered in Astrogranite from when I used that texture paint, but I have moved on from that scheme. Agreland Badland texture paint came in and was applied liberally. I even rubbed some of the texture paint onto the Gundam to make it look like the ground had been kicked up and caked onto the Gundam's feet. With that last detail added, I felt happy to call the project done. There's more I would have done if I could use other shades from my collection, but the point of this project was to work with the basics and see what I could do. I enjoyed this project, and I look forward to doing more in the future. I'm tempted to create a proxy human Tau army that uses Gundam suits. I know the term Guavesa exists, but I just couldn't think of how to spell it properly when I was writing the script. For now, I'll have to call the video here as I have a lot of projects waiting for me to paint them. The next edition of Blood Bowl is coming out soon and I'm getting Blood Bowl hype. I have a lot of projects planned for those minis. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, consider hitting the subscribe button so the videos can show up in your feed. If you like this video or this series in particular, consider hitting the like button as it helps the algorithm get the video out there to others. If you have any thoughts on today's project, want to talk about your own projects, or want to suggest a project for the future of the channel, drop a comment down below. And if you want to be notified right away when a video goes live, hit the bell icon so that YouTube can send you a message right away when a video goes live. This has been Jacob. Keep painting and have a good one, folks.